So, how is it that invasive species are introduced to a location in the first place? Well, there are a number of ways that they can do this. Over the last 500 years, human beings have been pretty much responsible for nearly all invasive species. Whether it's indirectly through global warming and the increased temperatures of certain regions, allowing species to live there that otherwise previously couldn't, or direct transport, such as the Victorians moving across certain species to the UK simply because they were aesthetically pleasing. If you take species like Buddleia, Japanese knotweed, Himalayan balsam, and even the grey squirrel, because they looked pretty, the Victorians took it upon themselves to move them into the UK, and well, here we are. Of course, natural events like storms may knock certain species off course, introducing them to a new location where they previously hadn't been before. Invasive species can also be accidentally introduced to a region, such as the transportation of black rats on ships during the Roman period. These rats would then go on to wreak havoc both to the human population during the bubonic plague and to other species such as puffins and shearwaters on Lundy Island. It's even more possible in the modern day and age as our methods of transportation have become more sophisticated. Of course, whilst monitoring efforts and legal obligations have become more sophisticated and developed, it's still entirely possible to accidentally carry a seed from one country to another on your clothing. We've even found species introduced out of necessity and then they've been accidentally released. If we look at the American minks in the United Kingdom, for example, they were brought over as part of the fur trade and then they accidentally escaped. We also see this in the signal crayfish, which was brought over for farming purposes to the United Kingdom and then subsequently escaped and proceeded to decimate the white claw population, which is native. It is believed that over the last 50 years, invasive species have cost the global economy $1.4 trillion, which is a lot of money. Now, much of this cost is the result of things like agriculture and fisheries being impacted by invasive species, but a large majority of that cost comes from simply managing and trying to eradicate them. Join me tomorrow where we'll take a closer look at certain species and how they may harm you directly, such as with the giant hogweed, how certain invasive species aren't all that bad, and what have been the most invasive species recorded over the last 50 years.